Oh, I didn't see you started recording.
It's recording.
I thought you just looked at me.
I was like, what are you fucking doing?
I'll have to edit that out. Or leave
Are
it in.
we leaving it?
Or
Yeah.
leave it in.
You're tuned into the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Zeno Pucks. Here are your hosts, Andy and Brian Matusi.
Welcome back to the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast presented by Zeno Pucks. Brian and Andy here in the same room on rare occasion. But
Terrible idea.
yeah, I was going to say, well, you clicked record and I'm so blind I didn't even see the red thing in the corner of the screen. So shows what I know.
Well, instead of looking at you while we're talking to each other, I'm going to look at you, but through the computer screen instead of turning my head.
That makes more sense. So I came over to your house so we could watch this Capitals and Islanders game, hoping to see Ovi break the record, and we got exactly that. So Ovi, from his spot on the power play, sinks number 895, breaks Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record. Pretty much everything we could have hoped for, except for that he didn't do it at home.
I sure as fuck sounded like you did it at home.
Yeah, minus the goal horn. It was pretty loud in there. I mean, everybody was there, family, Gretzky, unfortunately, the commissioner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pretty much everything was the same. Joe Beninati had the call on Monumental Sports. So, I mean, we got to at least have that, but just not in Capital One Arena in D.C. So that was the only, I guess you could say, letdown. But other than that, it was kind of everything we hoped for. It wasn't an empty net. It wasn't a chintzy goal. It wasn't something stupid. It was, again, in his office on the power play, same thing we're used to. It just wasn't a slap shot. It was a really good wrister.
I thought it was a great goal. I wouldn't change anything about it.
I would change how hard you fucking ran into me when I hugged you, but
sorry. I was just a little pumped up. Everything about that felt like a playoff goal, though. It was great.
Yeah, it did. The crowd reaction was nuts. It was just weird that the visiting fans were cheering, I guess not the visiting, but the opposing fans were cheering. And it was even weirder after all that. They went to a commercial break after a goal, which does not happen normally. So that was kind of odd. But again, it was definitely a one of a kind scenario. So it was definitely cool. I'm glad we got to witness it. I just wish, again, it would have been at home, but it was still cool to watch. I don't envision we'll ever see this one broken. Although that's been said twice now, and twice it's been broken. So 31 years between Gretzky breaking Howe's record and Ovi breaking Gretzky's record. So
yep. So we'll talk to you guys in another 31 years. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited. Hopefully it stays for a very long time. I will say, I hope if it is broken, I hope it's something that Ovi's alive to see happen, like Gordie Howe was for Wayne, and like Wayne is for Ovi. I hope it plays out the same way if it ever is broken. I don't think that's something we have to worry about for a while right now. So I don't want to jump the gun. I think it's also worth mentioning that the Caps still lost that game. So
yeah, quite handily. Now, it's funny you mention that, because now, I mean, again, the whole production, the whole shebang they kind of put on for this goal, but it's like, all right, well, now there's still real hockey to be played. The playoffs are in a couple weeks. The Caps are the best team in the league right now, I believe, in the standings. And so now all the focus shifts to, I mean, Andrew not dropping his Zeno puck like he just did. But the focus now shifts to, okay, he's broken the record. A, can he get 900 goals before the end of this season, which I'm sure he can. But B, most importantly, now it's the Caps are going to try and make a run for the Stanley Cup. And so I'm kind of excited to see where their playoffs go. It keeps being kind of mentioned, and I'm a firm believer of it, that they probably have the easiest path to the conference final. You never want to say anybody's got it easy in the playoffs, but just looking at how each corner of the bracket's shaping up, the Central is going to be miserable. The Pacific could be miserable. I mean, Vegas is going to be good. LA might be really good. The Atlantic's going to be tough. I mean, the Panthers, the Leafs, and the Lightning, that's tough. The Sens have really come on too. So there's a lot of opportunity here for each of these teams to have a really tough time to get to the conference final, whereas Washington in their corner of the bracket, I mean, other than Carolina, they're really the only team I think that is in any kind of threat of making a deep run. Yeah,
well, I also think that your Final Four this year isn't going to include a Canadian team on either side.
So, that's very fair, I think.
I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, but I don't think – I mean, I'm not going to throw your predictions out there, but –
nope, that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I would say once we get to that point, it's when you take a step back and look at everything on paper, it's pretty cut and dry who it's going to come down to. But like you said, we'll we'll get to that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and injuries, again, between now and then will play a big part in everything. I mean, between now and the Stanley Cup final, that is,
right.
Or the conference final, sorry. But it'd be interesting to see where things go. But yeah, for the Caps, it's like, all right, you got Ovi, his goal record. Now you got to turn it up even more now for the playoffs. Otherwise, this whole season could be out the window in a very short order.
I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna, dude, man, that ice cream's kicking my ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just went and had ice cream, and
yeah,
it was tough for you. Well, you spent half the time eating it and half the time spilling it on yourself. So I mean,
look, man, I was trying to mind my own business, and between him and both of our wives, I just couldn't get through it.
Well, 3 of us were eating our ice cream properly, and one of us was you. So I'll let you piece the rest of that together on your own. Now you might not know how to eat ice cream, but I don't know shit about the Philadelphia Flyers. So I don't know how this went over my head and how I completely missed this. We talked about the Tortorella firing, and I said, well, this isn't really a coaching issue. It's a player skill issue, completely missing all the drama between Torts and the Flyers with the beef between him and Cam York, and essentially saying he doesn't want to coach this kind of team or learn to coach this kind of team. I completely missed all of that. So his firing now makes infinitely more sense. But boy, does it seem like him and the Boston Bruins could be a match in heaven.
I mean, to be fair, I thought his firing made sense anyway. He gets fired from every team he coaches, and it's usually for the same reason. So it's just because, like I mentioned last episode, he has a 2-year shelf life as a coach, and then everybody's over his shit.
The Flyers are ass. But in this case, him saying he doesn't want to coach, I'm like, that's a pretty good way to get yourself fired. Yeah. So I swung and missed on that, and I'll absolutely own it. But that doesn't make the Flyers less shitty. It just means Torts needed to go.
I wasn't disagreeing with you about the Philly part of aspect of it. I was just saying Torts gets fired all the time anyway. So
now I mentioned that Torts could be a great match with the Boston Bruins, and the Bruins now dead last in the East for the first time since 1997. I was 1 year old. You were 5 years old. So it's been a long time for the Bruins.
Was I 5?
Yeah,
I guess so.
And so it's been a long time for the Bruins. They just won against Carolina. It was Friday night or last night, and
last night.
They broke a 10-game losing streak, which is just
disgusting,
rough. But the Bruins potentially could be looking at a quick turnaround if Marchand comes back. If they can get a couple other big names in the door. I mean, Boston's a pretty desirable market to play in. The Bruins now are in a spot where they could potentially have the number 1 overall pick, which would be insane. It's weird to think of when you think of the Bruins. You don't think of a lottery team, but it's just everything did not go, or nothing went their way this year. And between all the guys they've traded away and the injuries to Lindholm and to McAvoy and Swayman not playing well, it snowballed into this catastrophic season. But again, this could be a quick turnaround. You get the right names in the door and you get a high pick. I mean, they could pick as high as number 1 overall or as low as, like number 5. So they're set up to get a good pick in the draft. And who knows what'll happen for the Bruins this summer. I mean, there could be a very, very quick turnaround for them. And I don't know. We'll see. But I do think it would be funny if Torts ended up the coach there.
I mean, nothing surprises me at this point. And for what it's worth, I don't think the Bruins have a bad team on paper right now. I mean, they have especially some good young talent on that team. I do think their biggest mistake was letting Montgomery go at the beginning of the season. Monty was never the problem.
Well, and we'll get to him in a little bit
because he's with St. Louis.
Yeah, the Blues are just unbelievable. So we'll talk about him in a bit in the turnaround with them. But yeah, as for the Bruins, it's, I don't think Sacco has done a horrible job. I know they had a 10-game losing streak, but given the situation he's thrown into, Monty goes out, and as his tenure as the Bruins interim head coach has increased, the amount of good players they've had has decreased. When you look at guys they've traded away, when you look at guys that have been injured, nothing has gone his way. And I don't think it's going to be fair to scapegoat Joe Sacco as the guy responsible for it, but in an interim role, when there's going to be potentially some big names available in the coaching market this offseason, it just depends. It'll be interesting to see where the Bruins go. I still think Don Sweeney's the problem, but it sounds like from all accounts that his job is safe, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to go into, is that, you said Sweeney is the problem. There's a disease in this organization, and it goes by 2 names. One of them is Don Sweeney, and the other is Cam Neely. And as long as these two are running the show, nothing will ever be righted. And the problem is Don Sweeney is very close with the Jacobs family who own the Boston Bruins. So you're correct. His job is safe. As long as they're at the helm, this organization is doomed. And I believe that with every ounce of my being. They draft like shit. I just want to point that they draft like absolute shit. I'm not even going to get into the names that they've passed up on because some of the guys that they ended up taking did work out. But then you had guys like Jake DeBrusk, who I thought was a great player. I liked him a lot. The fans liked him. He didn't get along with Bruce Cassidy. I know that.
Yeah.
But
I still can't believe they didn't take Barzal on that.
Well,
draft.
yeah, that's exactly my point. They passed up on Matthew Barzal. It's just there's a whole laundry list of shit
and
we
Kyle
can get.
Connor.
Yeah, there's a whole laundry list of shit we can get into about why they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But
it's not even that they could have had Barzal or Kyle Connor. It's that they could have had both of them and they drafted neither.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had, even if they loved DeBrusk, if he was the golden child, they could have had all three of those guys.
Well, and I know it's worth mentioning too that you don't know what the future is going to hold when you're drafting either. You're just strictly going off of the past and assumption.
And that's fair. But with Barzal, he played junior for Seattle in the Western Hockey League. Outstanding year, especially his draft year. He had an outstanding season. I mean, all signs pointed to this kid should be going. And when people saw the Bruins had 3 picks in a row, it seemed the obvious slam dunk choice. Not even Kyle Connor, but to get Barzal it felt like almost a guarantee. And they just miss on essentially all 3 of those picks. I don't remember if Brandon Carlo was one of the 3 they selected. I know one of them was either Zaboral or Senyshyn too, but they just missed on essentially all those. Now the best one I think to come out of that was DeBrusk, and he doesn't play there either anymore.
Well, I was gonna say everybody's gone. Right? We still got McAvoy, thankfully. You know.
Yeah, that was from the following.
Well, I would
draft.
say that different draft class. I know, but I'm just saying of all the people they've drafted recently that ended up making a name for themselves on the Bruins, they're not there anymore, with the exception of David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean I think they're the only 2 left from the team that went to the final in 2019.
Yeah, they are.
Because Grizzly's gone, Carlo's gone, Marchand's gone, Bergeron and Krejci retired, Char retired. Yeah, so I mean, it's
Rask retired.
Yeah, so it's gotten away from them pretty quickly. But again, there's still a chance for a good turnaround. They have the advantage of being a very favorable market to play in. Boston's a great hockey city.
I agree.
It's a very good home ice advantage to have when you play for the Bruins. So, I mean, there's a lot going their way, but boy, do I not think it's going to get any better with this management group.
No, it's not. And that's why it's frustrating as a Bruins fan, because you have all these keys to success, but then on the back end of that, you have this cancer that's just eating away at all of that.
Yeah,
so
it's not great.
But I digress. We can move on now. I think it would be perfect to tie into the Blues out of this.
I would, or we could tie into the Bruins' biggest rival, the Habs, who not only just beat the crap out of them the other night, but have seemingly won this battle for the second wild card spot.
God damn it. All right.
It's just what it is. And
yeah, it's a good point.
The Habs, again, they've really turned it up lately. I don't have the numbers in front of me because I'm not on my own computer. So this was kind of a last second decision we did to record this here at your house while I was here. But ultimately for the Habs, look, they've climbed the standings. The Rangers have pretty much gone away. The Islanders, I think, are too far out. The Jackets, unfortunately, just can't stop letting in goals, so they keep losing, and now they're essentially out, barring a miracle. The Sens have locked up that number 1 wild card spot. The Wings have not locked it up, but all but locked it up. The Wings have kind of gone away. So for the Habs, they've played great hockey now, and it seems like the only thing we have to wait for is the end of the season. I mean, Lane Hudson is essentially locked himself in for the Calder Trophy. You know, Celebrini has had a great year. Mishkov's had a good year. Dustin Wolf's had a good year. That's kind of, unfortunately for him, tailed off in the last couple of weeks. The Flames have really had a tough time too. But they're feeling themselves right now. Nick Suzuki's having a career year. He's had the best offensive year by any Hab in the last 15 or 16 years. Everything's going their way. They're kind of getting the goaltending. And again, Lane Hudson's just looking like a stud. And now for the Habs, they go out again on, was it Thursday night? They beat the Bruins. It just tarred them. Absolutely. So it's looking good in Habs country right now. I don't see a deep playoff run in their future, but again, to break the streak of continuous disappointing year after disappointing year with seemingly no end in sight. I don't think I had them even close to the playoffs when we did our season preview. So for them to not only be looking at a playoff spot, but to be playing extremely well down the stretch here is, I think, is everything Habs fans could have hoped for.
Well, that's exactly the point I was going to make was nobody expected them to be in this position right now. And it kind of goes hand in hand with Columbus too. I mean, like Columbus is falling off now, but I didn't foresee the Habs having this, at least this kind of an end to the season to where, all right, now they're going to squeak into the playoffs. And as you mentioned, nobody's expecting them to make a deep playoff run, but on the opposite side of that, nobody was expecting them to be here to begin with. So
exactly.
And again, it does go back to guys like Nick Suzuki having a career year. So we'll see. I just ripped my headphone cord out.
That probably sounded great if you're listening to this.
Yeah, sorry about that. I talk with my hands. I can't help it. Lost my train of thought on that, but anyway, I don't know what I was saying.
No,
I forgot where I was going
fine.
with that.
Again, you're right, though. I mean, nobody expects the deep run, but no one expected him to be here. They showed flashes of this earlier in the season. They put together stretches of a few really good games at a time, but it was really never sustained long enough where you thought, okay, this is going to result in a playoff run. Well, here we are now. The Jackets have fallen back to earth. The Rangers and Islanders are garbage. The Red Wings have fallen off a cliff. And again, it's left a wide open lane for them in the Sens to jump into the wild cards. And the Sens have played very well too. We're not going to get to them on this episode, but they've played very well to put themselves in a spot now where they're essentially a lock for the playoffs. And again, with their goaltending, Linus Ullmark, that's a trade the Bruins probably didn't even need to make. And now it's come back to bite them. And for the Sens, they've reaped the rewards. But these two Canadian teams, we talked at the top of the year with the Sens, the Red Wings, and Buffalo, who's going to be the team that finally makes the difference, or not makes the difference, but, breaks the cycle of just not being even watchable. And the Sens finally do it. The Sabres are still just treading water at the bottom of the conference, but the Bruins.
I would say, but they're above the Bruins. So.
Yeah, and Detroit seemed like it was going to be them for the longest time, but they fell off a cliff, and the Sens have just jumped right in now. They're healthy, they're playing well. I know Brady Tkachuk just went down with an injury, but it sounds like he'll be back in time, and they should be fine for the playoffs. And the Habs too. It never seemed like they'd be able to sustain it long enough. But between the fact that they've just been playing so well the last month, and especially since the Four Nations break, and the fact that again Detroit and Columbus have just completely fallen off, it's kind of all worked out for them. So you never know what'll happen in the playoffs. I mean, the Kings won the Stanley Cup as an 8 seed in their conference.
Yeah. Well, one thing I kind of think is strange is that both Detroit and Columbus haven't been the same since they played each other in the Stadium Series.
Detroit's fall off was a little sooner, but kind of this, and for a lot of the same reason. I mean, Detroit really can't keep the puck up, but Columbus especially. The scoring's been there. Monahan and Jenner have come back and have been really damn good, I think. Especially, I've liked Jenner's play a lot, but Elvis has just been awful. After having one of the best games of his life in the Stadium Series, and Tarasov has just had one of the worst seasons I think he could have ever imagined. So everything that has been good about this Jacket season is quickly kind of vanishing before their eyes. I think Zach Werenski is probably still my pick for the Norris Trophy, but he was getting MVP talk for a while the Jackets were in that playoff spot, and I just don't see it being a thing now with them missing.
But if they would have made the playoffs, I'd say he was a shoe-in for the MVP, no question.
Yeah, I think so.
But, I mean, when you have a goalie that's putting up an .891 save percentage and that's your starter and your backup's doing even worse than that, that's not a recipe for success.
It was the issue the Avs had for the longest time. The starter was bad and the backup was worse. It just wasn't. I mean, now granted they went out and replaced both, but for the Jackets, they couldn't afford to kind of do that. They weren't in the right situation to do this. Nobody's taken on Elvis's contract. I can't believe the Sharks took on Alex Georgiev, but that's a whole different conversation. But anyways, so as things kind of, the dream kind of vanishes a little bit for the Jackets. Again, it seems like the Sens and Montreal have all but locked in these playoff spots. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how the seeding ends up while we go down the last week and a half of the season, really. But it should be an exciting finish. I can't wait to see what the first round matchups are going to be. Speaking of the first round, it seems like St. Louis, who a while back was not even going to be in the playoffs, is now won 12 in a row. They're in the playoffs. Now they're in the top wild card. It's looking like St. Louis has got themselves set for a first round date with Vegas, which maybe is more biting off more than they can chew, but you know what? They've had a hell of a run, and right now nobody can beat them. I think they've actually beaten Vegas during this win streak. So right now nobody can beat them. So I don't think they're scared to play anyone.
Well, I was going to say, if the playoffs start right this second, I'm taking St. Louis to win that series.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I'm not denying what Vegas is capable of, but I think St. Louis, man, they're an extremely well coached team, and I gotta give credit to Monty there. But number two, I just think I think they're the better team than Vegas right now.
I would still take Vegas because they've got the better coach, and they've already won with this coach and with this group.
I still disagree.
But to your point, again, it was a really slow start under Monty. I think everything's were just going so bad that, you know, nobody was feeling good about the way they were playing. It was just a mess. They came out of the Four Nations break. Bennington had the tournament of his career, you know, really just, especially after the championship game, he's just been dialed the hell in. So right now they do look unbeatable. So, you know, maybe I don't think they can win, but it certainly should surprise nobody if they do win a few rounds or go all the way or whatever. They're very well coached. Montgomery's, you know, he hasn't won a cup yet, but he's been part of some deep runs. He's coached some really good teams. It should surprise nobody that the Blues are capable of this. And so it's exciting to see. Anytime you see a team winning more than 10 games in a row, it's just like a marvel, because it's so hard to string together wins. Like, you know, at this level, it's so hard to string that many wins in a row together. So it is exciting to see. I'll be interested to see how that translates to playoff success. The style they're playing right now does kind of contribute to a winning formula in the playoffs. Much, you know, I mentioned the 2012 Kings earlier. It's kind of how they did it. They didn't score on you to death. They didn't pound you, but you know what? When they got the lead, they shut it the hell down. And that's exactly what the Blues do. They shut it down. Bennington's been playing outstanding. And yeah, even if I think a team can beat them, I wouldn't want to be the ones playing them right now, because they are feeling it. The fans are feeling it. And again, they're so well coached, and Montgomery just proven that he has deserved to stay in the NHL. And man, it's just incredible. It seems like everywhere he goes, he just breathes success. With Dallas, before he had his personal things that he had to deal with, they were playing well. He took them. I believe he was the one that took them to the Stanley Cup final in the COVID bubble. He took the Bruins to one of the best regular season record of all time, and followed up with another really good regular season. I know that didn't translate into playoff success per se, but he's a coach that's getting results at the highest level of the game. And now he's taken a third team and he's got them winning 12 in a row and looking like they're ready to run through a wall in the playoffs.
Thus further proving my point that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely need to go, because this guy's done nothing but prove he's not the problem when he's behind a bench.
Well, and since he's left, what did Joe Sacco do? Again, I'm not scapegoating Joe Sacco. This isn't his fault, but the Bruins have been god-awful since Montgomery left.
Correct. And everything for the organization's gone downhill. I guarantee you Montgomery's still in town. I guarantee you they weren't shipping Marshy out. They would have made something work with Marshy.
Not only that, were they not in a playoff spot when they fired him?
Yes.
I mean, I know they weren't winning a lot, but were they not?
I'm pretty sure if they weren't in a playoff spot, they were like one game out.
Yeah,
it wasn't anything. I'll tell you what, they were in a hell of a lot better of a position than they're in right now.
Yeah, although when they go get the number 1 overall pick, Sweeney will be like, see, my plan has worked all along.
And I'm not going to waste your guys' time and our time right now by looking this up. But if you want a little bit of comedy in your day, go look up, what Monty's record was the day the Boston Bruins fired him. Go look up what his record was.
It's a cartoony number.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
It's insane. I mean, his record was terrific. That's the exact kind of record you want to see out of your head coach. I don't know what's going on back there, but we're past Boston now, so I'm not going to bring us back to that sinking ship.
And well, listen, when we get into the offseason, we get closer to the draft, we'll talk about what the Bruins did wrong this season, because it's a very long list. But yeah, for Monty and the Blues, again, they're feeling themselves. My big concern for them going forward is that there's so much better scoring talent on other teams than what they have. But again, if they can just get out to a lead, they're better than anybody at shutting it down. And if Bennington keeps playing like this, it doesn't matter. So it'll be really interesting to see what the Blues do down the stretch, but it is fun to watch how not only how good they are with the wins, but just how consistent they are. They're winning a lot of these games the same way. They're tight games, and they're not giving anybody a fucking inch. And it's just incredible to see them be able to hold the fort night after night after night after night.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is how long that they can make this go, how long this can go on. Like, does this carry over into the playoffs, or is this just this is how we're ending our regular season, and then we're going to shit the bed come playoff time? I hope that's not the case.
And part of me is why I think Vegas would still beat them in a hypothetical first-round matchup. Look, Montgomery has had a lot of success with his teams, but other than his run to the final with Dallas, and actually that might have been Rick Bowness on their bench. It might not even have been Montgomery now that I think about it.
What, Dallas?
Yeah, that might have been Bowness.
I'm pretty sure it was Bowness.
It may have been, but not. And again, he was. Yeah, say you looked that up, but I mean, he was still effective in Dallas regardless. But again, you look at his runs with the Bruins, the best regular season of all time, and followed up by a really, really good season.
He's 70?
Who, Bonus?
Yeah.
He's older than hell. That's why he stopped coaching. But you know what? He can get results, but in the playoffs, it seems like when he runs into a guy who's got the better experience, he just freezes up. I mean, Paul Maurice and the Panthers just dropped him both times in really embarrassing, stunning fashion. And Bruce Cassidy is no stranger to the playoffs. A couple trips to the final under his belt, one championship, and Vegas's group is largely still the same. So that's why I say in a hypothetical matchup, I'm like, man, it's still hard to go against Vegas given everything we know. But again, Vegas aside, St. Louis is just playing unbelievably well right now, and it's really fun to watch.
This says he was on December 10th, 2019. He was named interim head coach of the Stars after Jim Montgomery was fired due to unprofessional conduct.
Wow, that was longer ago than I thought. I thought it was like right before the COVID shutdown that he was out of there.
Nope.
So wow, but even still, Dallas had some pretty good groups in the years he was there too. So he wasn't a bad coach. Dallas has actually been, I would say, pretty fortunate with the coaches they've had the past 15 years. I mean, truly they have. I mean, you think back to, they have DeBoer right now, who's just incredible. And then before this, Bonus as well, who took them to the final. And before them, Montgomery, who was very effective. They had a couple trips into the second round. I don't know if they went to the conference final with him. But actually, no, never mind. I was thinking 2019, but he wasn't there then. So
correct.
Yeah. Wow, Bonus actually had a couple really deep runs with Dallas too. So they've had it very good, and they still do. And we'll talk about them. I mean, I've kind of been waiting to talk about them till the playoffs because we know they're going to make it, and we know they're a good team. It's a matter of who they play at this point, although it seems all but certain that it may be Colorado.
It's hockey season, and you're looking to work on your stick handling or maybe even your shot, but ice time just isn't an option for you right now. Luckily, our buddies over at Xenopucks have got you covered. They've developed an elite off-ice practice puck that, in addition to looking like the real thing, is the same size and weight as a regulation hockey puck to give you that authentic feel on the end of your stick. It works better than other off-ice practice pucks on almost any surface, whether you use it on hardwood, carpet, concrete, or even asphalt. Xenopucks glide like a real puck on ice. So if you're looking to improve your game without setting foot on the ice, head over to www.xenopucks.com and get yourself a puck. Check out their merch selection and be sure to follow them on Instagram at Xenopucks.
Let me see. I don't think I actually have anything left on my notes. I certainly know you did not look up any questions.
I will say this. Last week, I shit on the Cleveland Monsters, and somebody must have heard it because they put together 2 back-to-back wins last night and the night before. Friday winning 7-1 and last night winning 3-0. So maybe they can keep that up because they're still somehow appears they're going to make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens in AHL land with the Cleveland Monsters.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that's everything I have for this. Real quick before we go, just want to give a quick shout out to one of my favorite basketball players, Carmelo Anthony, first ballot NBA or basketball Hall of Famer. So congratulations, Melo. Very well deserved. I know we are not a basketball show. This is a football show, so I should know better. But I just wanted to shout out Melo. Congrats on a great career that has resulted in a first ballot selection into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
I don't watch basketball, so congratulations.
So he'll see you next week.
Yeah. So make sure if you're not already, you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Look, Facebook and Instagram, Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. What?
I don't know. I just wanted to flip you off.
Okay. Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. If you follow us on TikTok, it's at Fresh Ice Pod. And if you follow us on X for whatever reason, it's at the Fresh Ice Pod. Again, if you want to send us any questions, you can email us freshicehockeypodcast@gmail.com or contact@freshicehockeypodcast.com. I don't have anything else to add to this, at least nothing intelligent. So we're going to get off of here so Brian can go home. And that's
real quick. We will probably not be back with an episode next Sunday. I will be out of town next weekend. So we're probably going to be back next Monday. But yeah, I just wanted to say that now because, we're not going to be recording next Sunday. So we'll hopefully get it recorded next Monday, either uploaded next Monday night or in the next Tuesday morning, one of the two, but we'll be back. And then the show following that, probably that Friday night, we'll do our playoff preview as the regular season will have wrapped up and we'll be on playoffs eve.
Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't believe the regular season's already almost over. I mean, between just how fast it's gone, but between like that and me moving, it's gone like lightning quick.
This season flew by. I thought last season went by fast, but this has
been like, breakneck pace.
Yeah. So with that being said, everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.